Hi, welcome to Life on the Rock. And tonight we have members of the North Dakota State University Newman Center. We have Father Jim Cheney, Jerome Hetwer, and Sarah Konopik. They're going to share with us their faith and the great work that the students are doing out there at North Dakota State University. And they are having great success. So they're one of the most successful, focused missionary campuses in the country. So they're going to share with us what they're doing out there. Good to see you, Doug.
You too, Father.
And you're busy, right?
Yes. Just again, Battle Ready Rally Tours have been, by the grace of God, rolling. In fact, we just finished one in North Dakota. Yay! At this Newman Center that we're going to be discussing with them tonight. But we're going to be coming up real soon here in April. We're going to be in California. Go check our website, battlereadystrong.com. April, California Battle Ready Rally Tour is about to take place. And then we are in Kansas in May. And we've got several other states we're looking at for actually a little bit in the summer. And starting back up in the fall, Florida again, Texas is being talked about. Just finished Pennsylvania as well. So anyway, check out battlereadystrong.com for the Battle Ready Rally Tour near you. And you can give us a call or email if you'd like us to come to your area and start putting these things together, these parish events with prayer and sacraments and just a good challenging talk on what it is to really fight that spiritual fight with the recourse to have the spiritual weapons that God gives us. The rosary, scapular, holy water, sacraments, all the tried and tested 2,000 years worth of greatness that the church gives us to fight this fight for souls. So battlereadystrong.com, hoorah.
All right, and our Holy Father has got a plan too, Doug.
He's battle ready.
He's battle ready. And he recently gave the 29th message for World Youth Day, and he's preparing for Poland 2016, which hopefully you and I will be going out there for.
Looking forward to it. Definitely.
And this year it's a meditation on the first Beatitude, Blessed are the poor in spirit, for the kingdom, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. And he wants to go through, I think, all the Beatitudes in preparation for Poland. So he takes the first one about poverty of spirit, and he gives specifics that he wants young people to work on in preparation for World Youth Day. And he says, how do we do this? How do we become poor in spirit, in a practical way in our lives? And the first thing he says is try to be free with regard to material things. He says we live in a culture of consumerism. He challenges us to live a sober life. And this means being concerned with the essentials and learning to do without those unneeded extras which hem us in. Let us be detached from possessiveness and from the idolatry of money and lavish spending. To be free of idol worship, which enslaves us. He says, put your trust in God, dear young friends, and He will make sure that you lack nothing. He says, we need the courage to be happy. We also need the courage to live simply. Mm-hmm. And we get that message all the time. We need this or that to be happy. As he says, almost like we need 1,000 conditions to be met before we can be happy. And really, we have to put the kingdom first, put Jesus first, and be detached from things of this world.
And it does take a sense of courage because the fear can creep in. You think of even Peter being asked to step out of the boat. Well, when Peter says, "Lord, if that's you," Gospel of Matthew, call for me to come to you. And he humbles himself to know that the Lord has to call him. He steps out of the boat, he's walking on the water, and then fear enters his heart, it says. And the fear takes his eyes off of Jesus then. He takes his eyes off. So there does need to be a certain courage and strength. In fact, I got that on my wristband right here, courage and strength from Joshua 1:9, courage and strength. And we need that so that we don't feel that intimidation of the world, the effects of the world, so we can live the Beatitudes. The Beatitudes are, of course, the attitudes to be.
Right, that's right, Doug. So the second way we can live this poverty of spirit, he says, he's got a special task for the young people. He says we need to all have a conversion in the way we see the poor, and he says, I especially entrust you young people with this task of restoring solidarity to the heart of human culture. He says we're faced with old and new forms of poverty, with unemployment, migration, addictions of various kinds. He said we have to remember all those who feel unloved, who have no hope for the future, and who have given up on life out of discouragement, disappointment, or fear. I like that broadening of what we normally think of just material poverties, but there's so many people that are struggling because we live in a spiritual wasteland in so many ways, a spiritual wasteland culture, that we can be there as a source of encouragement for people. He said, let's go out to meet them, look into their eyes, and listen to them. Right? Make time for people, engage them, have a real conversation with them. And he says, the poor provide us with a concrete opportunity to encounter Christ himself and to touch his suffering flesh. And third, the third point he says, to live this poverty of spirit is to realize the poor have something to teach us. He said, the poor are our teachers. They show us that people's value is not measured by their possessions or how much money they have in the bank. A poor person, a person lacking material possessions, always maintains his or her dignity. You know, that really struck me because, you know, you strip away, a poor person has all these things stripped away from them, all these things that the culture tells us we need to have meaning and value, to have life, have any kind of happiness in life. We meet someone that doesn't have these things, and they remind us, hey, that they're children of God too. They have this dignity independent of all that. I always feel freed by it, that I can get out of the rat race, right? And I can just remember my dignity, how God loves us as persons, human persons made in his image and likeness.
Yeah, we don't have to have that leash, if you will, to our social networks, you know, our Facebook and our cell phones.
Right.
The poor do show that, you know, hey, you can still live, breathe, die, stand before God without all these things.
Right, right.
You know, they're not essential to
Yeah.
existence.
Right. So he says, evangelical poverty, this kind of detachment, everything is necessary for the new evangelization, necessary for us to have joy, and this joy is contagious and is what's going to attract people to the gospel. Yeah. So we have another little interview from our trip to the NCYC event, the National Catholic Youth Conference.
Yeah, you were shaking it up out there, weren't
in
you?
Indianapolis. Jody Copeland and I went out there, had a good time. Yeah, got some good interviews. Man. And this next one is with Sarah Swofford, so we hope you enjoy it. I'm here with Sarah Swofford. She was on the show a little while ago. And tell us about your ministry, what you're doing now.
Yeah, well, my ministry is Emotional Virtue Ministries, emotionalvirtue.com. So basically, it's been really exciting. I just was asked to join the Chastity Project. So we've been trying to get the word out. And a lot of us have come together so that the chastityproject.com is just a one-stop shop for all chastity. So the emotional virtue fits in perfectly because a lot of people come to me, guys and girls, and say, I know what not to do, but I don't know what to do with myself, you know, and that's where virtue comes in. So it's been really great.
And tell us about you're trying to slay that dragon of drama. Tell us about that.
Striving for a drama-free life, yeah. I just, you know, so many times in my life I've been listening to college students or high school students or junior high students, and so many choices just lead to drama. And there's, our world is, they make it very attractive, the dramatic soap opera life, you know. So I just, you know, what are those decisions, what are those choices that we make that we can eliminate drama so that we can have, like, not only the joy and the excitement and the peace of our Lord, but like just in life, you know what I mean? So it's been really fun, so.
Yeah, I often think about that in Hollywood. They don't show you the hangover drama of this promiscuous life and the pain of that, right? But you've seen, you were a dorm director for a while, so you've seen some of the fallout, right?
When I was I'm at Benedictine College. My husband's a professor, and we do a lot with the students. When I was a dorm director, it was 3 years of really listening to men and women talk about the brokenness and the insecurities and their past. And there was just so many things that time and time again, it was like, man, what could we have done like 10 steps before getting to this place, you know? So it's just been really good. I talk a lot about the cycle of use, where men and women will use each other, whether emotionally or physically, and not even know it, but also not even call it that. You know, so I always say a girl watches like 3 awesome chick flicks in a row and she texts a guy, and I was like, the text, you know, hey, can you come over so I can snuggle with you and use you for, you know, an hour? That text doesn't go out. You know, the word use isn't in there, but that text still goes out. And or with guys, you know, their struggle with, you know, whatever they're struggling with, and all of a sudden they put that text out, hey, can I use you for 20 minutes tonight? It's like that text doesn't go out, but a text does go out. The word use is just not in it. So trying to get people just aware of our decisions and how drama-free is just such a better way to go.
You know, I remember from your show, I think you talked too about just the modesty of the emotions and stuff, and that it's not appropriate, right, in a dating relationship to expose certain parts of our heart. How do you describe that?
Such a tough question, because it's such a fine line. It's like you don't, I always joke, like, you can't stay at, like, my dog's name is Spike and my mom works for AT&T. I mean, you have to get to know someone. You have to, to a point, reveal something about yourself. Otherwise, it's just a very, lame relationship. So, but at the same time, I call it modesty of intentions. So what is my intention, whether it's with my dress or with my flirtation or with, like with guys and girls, a lot of times it's like, man, beginning with the end in mind, So if I am gonna marry this person, what are the steps I need to take to get there? And if this person isn't the person God is, has for me, what do I want to make sure that I keep for my husband? And a lot of people think physically, like obviously with your body, yes. But there is an element of the emotional side that you have to be very careful with, because sometimes it can be just as painful. All right, welcome back to Life on the Rock. Tonight our guests are North Dakota State University Newman Center. We have Jeremy Hetwer, sorry about, not Jerome, but Jeremy Hetwer, and Father Jim Cheney and Sarah Knopik, right? So welcome to the show. Father Jim, I wanted to start first with your university there has a distinction, your Newman Center has a distinction about being one of the most, if we could say the word, successful focus missionary groups. Tell us about that success.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of metrics that go into a successful campus ministry program. One of the key things that they look at is how many student missionaries there are per focus missionary, and NDSU has kind of always been in the top 5. We started with Focus in 2004 with 4 Bible studies. We have about 70 Bible studies running on the campus now with an average attendance of 6 to 8. So we're able to reach about 400 to 500 young adults per week with some of the basic tenets of our faith through the Bible studies that we have on the campus there. So we've been blessed in a lot of different ways with really good teams, good leaders. And it's definitely a group effort. There's a lot of Newman Centers throughout the country that have tremendous programs and are doing great work in terms of changing hearts and changing lives.
And Sarah and Jeremy, you are not focused missionaries per se, but you are student missionaries, is that how you say it?
Correct,
yeah.
Yes.
And I love that you go to the website, the Bison Catholic website, and you use that word missionary a lot. It reminds me of Pope Francis. He uses the term missionary disciple. And you all consider it missionary work?
Yes.
I mean, you're in America, you're in North Dakota, right? Is it?
Right, well, it's its own type of mission,
Yeah.
I suppose. It's not exactly like a foreign mission, but we are still striving to win over hearts for Jesus, so.
Right.
Yes.
And it's a big school, right? It's like 15,000 or so?
Yep, 14,500 home of the three-peat Division I national champions. So
You've said that about 5 times
yeah.
today.
No, we've got a tremendously successful program. NDSU is a state university. It's known for engineering, architecture, pharmacy. We've got a great nursing program there. Of course, agriculture. So in a lot of different ways, it's a great university. And for that Catholic parent that's thinking about, where should I send my young adult to school? Sometimes a state university with a great Newman Center program is a good pick.
It is. And I think we've been seeing more of that on the show. I know University of Louisiana Lafayette's got a great Newman Center. state school, and I think that's just a great option to have. You go to and pay state tuition levels, and yet have a strong Catholic presence, get formation, find community there. So that's a tremendous benefit for people. What are some of the challenges? I know you have a heart for college ministry. First, let's talk about some of the challenges you see. You went to NDSU, right? As an undergrad.
As a young man, I came off from the dairy farm in Minnesota and really had no idea what it meant to be a man or a Catholic, and was kind of into the party scene a little bit. And I had all these dreams about what I wanted to do with my life. I wanted to play football for the Bison. I wanted to fly jets for the Air Force. I wanted to be a rock star, you know, whatever. But so by the end of my first year, I was in a tailspin, and I began to look for a meaning in my life, and that's what brought me to the doors of the Newman Center, where I'm privileged to serve today. And I began to go to confession, and that's when my life really began to change. I mean, the Lord saved me. He has this power to save. I started going to confession, daily mass, started going on retreat experiences.
Confession? Did somebody invite you to confession, or?
No, I just needed to go. You know, it was just a sacramental need in my life. And then when I started going to confession, the Lord just began pouring these enormous graces out on my life that were really life-changing. And then eventually I got involved with the Newman Center. I was a janitor there. I still do the snow removal, by the way. And I also got involved with the music ministry there, and then eventually the Lord started laying the grace of the priesthood on my heart. So I recognize the importance of what happens during that time from 18 to 23 in a young adult's life, where they're transitioning out of the high school experience into what it means to be an adult. I don't know if you've read Sherry Wendell's book, Intentional Discipleship, but the first third of it is kind of depressing. I mean, we're losing 80% of our Catholics in that age group, 18 to 23, and for me, that's just unacceptable. So we're just doing everything that we can to walk the Christian walk with our young adults. They face so much as they come out of the high school experience. You know, pornography, the party zone, relativism, tolerance. I mean, the crisis of catechesis and religious education in the world today. Most of our young adults are coming out of the high school experience, and they really don't know that much about the faith. I mean, the only thing they really do know is that you're not supposed to judge. And so there's...
And that's often misinterpreted. Jesus tells us not, judge not lest you be judged. But what he's saying is that you can't judge someone personally, but that's not to say there's no right and wrong, right? That's the way the world interprets it. Here's that hey, we can't say anything is objectively right or wrong.
Yeah, I think Archbishop Chaput got that, when he said tolerance is no longer a virtue when it tolerates intrinsic evil. So, but. So what we try to do is to help our young adults with this period of transition into adulthood. And some of the key components of the program, of course, are the sacraments, the Eucharist, worthily received, confession, adoration, rosary. We were one of the first Newman Centers in the country to have a program to help people struggling with pornography called the Millennium Man Program, Knights of Columbus, Catholic Daughters, the Student Advisory Board, Peer Ministry. So we try to lay out the carpet of to know, love, and serve the Lord Jesus Christ through participation in the sacraments, and then also to help students go deeper with the knowledge of the Lord Jesus. We do that through the Bible studies. A key component to that, of course, is personal discipleship, walking the Christian walk with these young people. And then on top of the personal discipleship, providing opportunities for leadership for our young people through peer ministry, Student Advisory Board, making Newman student-owned, student-led, I think are some key components to a successful campus ministry program. And I'm totally convinced that if we're honest about where we're at in the life of the church today, if we're interested at all in forming up the future leaders of the church, campus ministry has to be a priority for us as church today.
And yet I was amazed thinking you have like 15,000 students there, 28% Catholic, roughly? You said?
Yeah, roughly about that. So there's 4,000 Catholics on the campus there.
Right.
Yeah.
And and you're there hearing confessions practically every day, and daily mass, and you have adoration twice a week. Is that right?
Well, three times. We have adoration Tuesdays and Thursdays all day, and then we actually have adoration on the campus on Wednesdays. And then I hear confessions probably about 10 to 12 hours a week. I just invite the students, hey, if you want to talk to a priest, come on in. You know?
Yeah.
So it's the best time I have with them, you know, because there's so much, you know, just life-changing stuff that happens.
So if you didn't have that dairy farm work ethic, you would be in trouble, wouldn't you? I mean,
yeah. Yeah. Well, that's another component to a good program. Is it's a lot of work, you know. So,
yeah.
But I'm blessed with a great staff. We just started the student advisory board. We have peer ministry as a complement, and of course we've got focus and a small but very dedicated staff to serving the lives of the students there at the Newman. So.
Now, Jeremy, you're very involved.
Yes.
Tell us some about the Sacramental Life. Has the adoration been a big part of your life? Has it blessed you in your spiritual life?
Yeah, definitely. Throughout my time at the Newman Center, I've grown a great deal, and I know part of that is having a holy hour. So every Tuesday I have holy hour from 3 to 4, and try to stop by as often as I can. I just find that in terms of my prayer life, it really takes it to the next level, being in front of the Blessed Sacrament, exposed, and being able to pray the rosary and whatnot.
What would you tell a young person watching this? So what do? You go for an hour to prayer? What do you possibly do during that time?
Well, prayer is conversation with the Lord, so it's really just that is your hour with God, face to face, just your time to talk to Him, just like you would another friend. So I would say it's a very real relationship. So rather than view it as something completely different than talking with a friend, view it as talking to your best friend and really forming that relationship deeper with the Lord.
Right, and you are a student missionary. You lead Bible studies and peer mentoring. Tell us how that has blessed you. I mean, Father's mentioned a lot about forming leaders, future leaders. How has that role been a blessing to you to help you grow as a person?
Yeah, well, I know when I first got involved, I had other people investing in me. I was in a Bible study and I had someone discipling me, but it took me a while to get my own Bible study and to start investing in other people. But I found as soon as I started investing in other people, the Lord blessed me with even more grace. I was able to give the grace to those around me, and it just helped me form leadership skills that I could use with people that I didn't even know that well to help evangelize them.
And we should say the Bible studies you all use that come through Focus.
Yeah.
And it's about an hour format. And
yeah, so it's about an hour a week. We open and close in prayer, and then the focus material is there for the Bible study. So it can start with the gospel presentation, go deeper through the sacraments. Right now I'm leading a Bible study on Mary.
And you get a lot of good sharing from the men, and you lead men's Bible studies, and they come and share some of their own thoughts, what they've read.
Yeah, and it's a lot of helping myself with more formation and them as well. I know personally with the Bible study on Mary, all my guys right now are doing the consecration to Mary, so developing that relationship with Mary to bring them closer to Christ.
Right. So you're forming some very marriageable men, right? That would be real attractive. So
yeah.
We hear that theme on the show. That, in fact, we had the Knights of Columbus. They had a college program, and it started on one campus because these women got together and said they wanted some guys to marry. So they started praying, and this group formed the Knights Council. So, but tell us about that, Sarah. We joke about it, but. That is attractive, right? Young people are interested in marriage. Most have the call to marriage, and that makes for a good, solid man, right? He's praying, he's strong in the faith.
That's very true. Actually, I remember the first time I walked by the Knights of Columbus meeting, and I was just amazed because there were like 20 to 30 really great Catholic men praying together.
Right.
I had never been exposed to something like that before. But I would definitely say it's an attractive part of the Newman Center is seeing very good holy men striving to go deeper with their faith and to know Christ.
And then a lot of marriage. We talk about maybe the number of focused missionaries that come out of this Newman Center or vocations of the priesthood, but a lot of good marriages are formed here too, right?
It's very true. I know out of my sisters, I have quite a few sisters. 3 of them met their husbands while being while going to the Newman Center. Right. But even just amongst our friends, there have been so many relationships formed who are now producing the next generation of Newmanites. It's always babies now, but it's pretty great.
Yeah, and I mean, it's a real issue out there. I mean, as a priest, I talk to people, they want to get married, they have difficulty finding a person, and the older you get, the harder it gets. So we joke about it, but I think it's a very important aspect to a Newman Center if it helps young people to find their vocations to marriage, priesthood, or whatever. We're going to take a short break and we'll be back in just a minute speaking with the North Dakota State University Newman Center. So back in a moment. Welcome back. Sarah, you have a good story with how the Newman Center's touched your life. You're a sophomore.
Correct.
And you're studying?
Criminal justice.
Okay, what happened to you? You come from a big family, a Catholic family, but
yes,
the Newman Center helped fire you up in your faith.
It did. I got a call my senior year of high school from Father Cheney asking me to be a peer minister.
I love that story because you're intense, Father. I mean, you're recruiting before they even get to school.
Yes, he did.
Did you sign anything before you go?
No, I didn't. I should have. No, would have saved. No, just kidding. No, it was really great. At first, I wanted to say no because, like, the whole age thing really scared me. But I'm very, very thankful that I said yes because it got me.
I mean, you felt you were too young to do something.
Yeah. I didn't really know that once you got to college, age really didn't matter. Yeah, anyway, so it got me started right away. Like, I was able to kind of skip the party scene in college and go right into, discovering a personal relationship with Jesus.
And I love that. I mean, it sounds so Pope Francis, he's telling us not just to sit back on our heels and wait for kids to come to the Newman Center. Father's going out. I mean, you knew the family, and your sisters had gone to Newman Center. But I think that's just what Father's talking about, that affects the trajectory of your whole life. Before you have some of the temptations of college life, right, you get right in there and you start working and being a leader. You talked about how you had to grow in your leadership style. Tell us about that.
I did. So leadership has always been a passion of mine. All throughout high school, I was a leader. And then once I got to college and I was able to right away be in leadership positions, I had to, it took me a while to realize that I wasn't leading the way that I was supposed to be. Actually, this summer I was able to stay in Honduras for 2 weeks doing mission work, and it was such a beautiful experience. It taught me so many things, but one thing that I really learned there was that I needed to become a better leader, because initially I was bossy, and I still am sometimes. I'm not going to say I'm not, but I led by telling people what to do, being type A and taking charge. Whereas in Honduras, I didn't really know who I was down there because I couldn't be that person down there, and so I learned that I needed to kind of step back, and instead of leading by authority, I needed to lead by my actions and by being like a joyful person, and showing others that leadership can be attractive like that.
Right.
Yeah.
I asked you earlier about how you share the faith with people, and you told me, you said something that really struck me about listening, and so maybe you have another friend in the class, and you're trying to help them come to the faith. Talk about that approach you have.
I think, first of all, it's all about becoming friends with them first. So I read or heard this a couple days ago that 3 minutes of intentional listening, or just talking to one person and letting them know that you are the focus of the conversation, or that they are the focus of the conversation, is more impactful than a 30-minute conversation that's kind of distracted, is not focused just on them.
And maybe focused on you just telling them stuff, right?
Right,
Yeah.
right. Yeah, they just need to know that they are loved and that they are being listened to at that moment.
Right. And you obviously, you're discipling other young women, and there's very much a desire for friendship and connection, right, among girls. And
Right, there is.
so tell us about that. I know it gets kind of complex, right, when you talk about women's friendships, but...
Oh boy. Yeah, well, we are relational beings, that is for sure. And so just, yeah, like I said before, letting that person know that they
Yeah.
are loved and that
Yeah.
you want to be friends with them.
Right.
I think that's a big thing. And then inviting them to come places. Like I know the girls in my Bible study, they're great women and they inspire me so much. But I don't think my Bible study would be as thriving as it is right now if we weren't also trying to build relationships outside of Bible study. Like we're friends, we hang out outside of Bible study, and so we're able to hold each other accountable in that way, and also to have fun and be joyful together instead of just that hour.
Yeah. I love that 3 minutes. I mean, do we have 3 minutes for somebody else? I mean, to really, to listen. And Father, you also mentioned briefly in the beginning about a program of mentoring to help young people with pornography addictions. What is the name of that program again?
It's called the Millennium Man Project. It was something we formed up just out of the reality of what I would describe as sort of the black plague of the modern world.
And you started this program.
Right,
Okay.
yeah. Pornography is, you know, it's just incredible. It has just robbed our young people of so much innocence in the world today. When you're talking about an average exposure age of, you know, 10, 11, so all the way through their adolescence, pornography is a part of their life, you know. So this has been habituated, it's been, you know, written into a pattern of behavior that has left them empty, you know. And so what we wanted to do is just to try to develop a program of people who have been through the same thing and have been able to stop. And so it's called the Millennium Man Project. It's not anything really, it's just to sit down with somebody who's been through it, and then we just look at the fundamentals in the person's life. The fundamentals of behavior modification, you know, doing something with the computer, being accountable to somebody. Also the spiritual life, making sure that, you know, when you make a mistake, you go to confession, that you receive the Eucharist in a worthy manner, and then some type of retreat experience. That's a key component, I would say, to the whole college experience, is to go to some type of retreat, search, attack, Crescio or Koinonia. Of course, we try to bring as many students as we can to the Focus large-scale conference events during the winter semester break, and we build on that with our Bison Catholic Week. And but yeah, we saw a need to address that situation sort of head on, and I was glad to see that there were a couple of students that were willing to work with me on that. So
so it is like older students that would work with younger students, or would it be men that would come in and help mentor?
Correct. Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. The guy who worked with me, Tyler Kurtz, was majoring in counseling at the time, and so that's where we got kind of a model for it's just really basic, you know, behavior modification. I mean, I mean, for someone to stop looking at pornography is, who's been habituated, and it's been a pattern in the behavior. It's like learning how to play the piano. You know, I mean, you can do it, but it's going to take hard work. And so a lot of times when our young adults are faced with something hard, they give up right away because everything is so instantaneous, you know. So, but if they're able to partner with somebody and muster up the courage to be able to suffer, to suffer through temptation, to find out what it's like to get on the other side, and to discover that suffering through temptation is also a building block to virtue in their lives. And they begin to see the other side and are able to, a third of them are helped enormously, a third are marginal, and a third are not so much. But it's something that's definitely needed in the world today, that's for sure.
We're going to take a short break. We'll be back in just a moment, so don't go away. Back in a minute. Welcome back, and Doug has got a burning question for us.
I do. Father, you talked about the black plague of pornography, and as we were just talking during the break there, I speak at a lot of men's conferences. I see a lot of adult men out there that are they're dying inside. As a priest in Michigan said to me, he hears confessions of adult men who've gone into what he called the pretzel position. They're so broken and so beat up over the pain and the suffering and the problems in our faith. Not their faith, that they've been distant from the faith, though. Whether it's the college parties that leads into the other decisions that they've made. They don't feel like they can give to their kids. They don't feel like they can give to their wives really that fullness of what a man should be. And a lot of it starts in the early years. A lot of the formation that they've gotten through high school and college. You too, Father obviously is passionate about this, and he's out there recruiting, making calls, which is awesome. What would you two say to the audience out there, to the listeners on radio and the people watching who are looking and seeing hope in you as young, man and woman who are out there, fighting this fight? But why the evangelization? Why is this so important? Why did John Paul II talk about the new evangelization, except that there's an enemy out there trying to destroy our souls, and there's a real battle for souls. John Paul II said in the Gospel of Life, Blessed John Paul, that prayer and fasting are our two greatest weapons against the forces of evil. That the evangelization, the missionary work, you considering the priesthood and all, is about the fact that there's this massive battle and souls are on the line. So an impassioned plea to the world out there in this final segment, if you could. I'd love to see this, Freddie, because it's got to be in your heart. I love when you said about the communication with God, the encounter with Christ in prayer and adoration, just to be in the presence of the one who ordered the universe. It's just an incredible thing. So what can you, from the heart, give to the audience out here?
Actually, we're out of time, Doug.
Oh, okay. Well, thanks for coming. We'll see you again next week on Life on the Rock. I just love to see because it's already in you. I can see it. Just, come out of the chairs, rush the camera, figuratively, and tell the world what you feel about why missionary work.
Well, I would just say as a young man, I find it discouraging when all I see is older women in prayer, and that's a blessing in and of itself, but when there's no young men at all involved, it really frustrates me. I know I went to a Catholic school and I didn't see any other young men practicing their faith, so going to college and seeing other young men striving to live virtuous life really built me up, and it's that fraternity and that brotherhood, kind of that warrior spirit you start to develop that gets lost in society. And you're just striving for virtue and you're pushing one another, and it's authentic masculinity, that sacrificial love, much like Christ had when he died for each one of us. And I get really fed by it. I know I've done a couple of visits at the seminary, and just seeing other guys, it's exciting. It's an adventure, and that's what guys want. Guys want that adventure. So where they disorder that in pornography, they can reorder that towards Christ, towards their vocation, especially in married life, to lay down their life for their wife. And I don't know, it's an exciting battle to be fought, especially the spiritual battle, I think, is even more exciting than that physical battle.
Yeah, because the consequences are so much more serious.
Yeah.
And they're eternal. To physically lay your life down is powerful, but to spiritually give of yourself to that extent of missionary work. You think of the great missionaries, the St. Isaac Jogues going up into the north, and you think of the St. Francis, he's his alma mater, going out to the Muslims, wanting to lay his life down, just couldn't get it done, but he wanted to give his life. And it's just powerful. Yeah, I like that. And band of brothers, right?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Father.
Well, I think, Doug, you hit upon highlight the importance of campus ministry in the life today. There's a tragic story in the heartland of a young lady who went out, had too much to drink, fell asleep, and then it was sub-zero temperature. She got frostbite. She's been hospitalized. And it highlights how just a few bad decisions during the college experience can affect the trajectory of the rest of their lives. So what we try to do is to help students build up virtue in their lives in pursuit of chastity, sobriety, and excellence in helping them get everything that they can out of their college experience, to develop the gifts and talents that God has given them, and also to discern their vocation. That's a big part of this privileged time in their lives. And so we try to give them the tools to look at the fact that you know, Jesus is alive, he loves you, he has a plan for your life. Don't you want to know what that is, you know? I mean, his plans are always just way more hilarious than anything we could ever make up, you know? So just giving our young adults an opportunity to discover that reality through a campus ministry program is, I think, what...
And you mentioned the retreats. You have a retreat a semester? Is that right?
Right. Well, we're bringing back a koinonia retreat to our university. We're really excited about it. So our first retreat's going to be in April. Okay. Yeah, some type of retreat experience as part of the college experience, I think, is a critical component. So.
There's so much pressure at college. You got the academic stuff going on, and to come away and rest a while with Jesus. I know, Jeremy, that's affected your life, right, in high school.
Yeah.
And now you're discerning the priesthood. Tell us a little bit about that journey for you.
Well, my senior year of high school, I went on a retreat called Kairos. And basically, it translated to God's time. And for me, that was huge. I had gone to Catholic schools, but I had never formed that personal relationship with Christ. And I had fallen away from my faith and wasn't living the most virtuous life. And then on that retreat, it was 4 days, and the first day we got there, we didn't know what to expect. The second day, people were sharing their testimonies, and that had somewhat of an impact. And then I know the third day, we were at a convent, and we got the opportunity to go back to our rooms, and we had this envelope on our bed, and didn't really know what it was, and inside were letters that had been written to us. And I know after I had read these letters, I broke down, just realized the amount of sin that I was in, and really the amount of love that the Lord had for me that I had never experienced before. And then later that night, we had the opportunity to go to confession, and it was just that clean slate, that fresh start.
And what was the part that made you realize the amount of love Jesus had for you?
It was just an overwhelming sense of no matter how much wrong I had done, I could never separate myself from the Lord. I felt very wounded and very broken, unlike I had ever before, but I knew God's grace was still there.
I know Father mentioned about the sacramental life. That's just absolutely foundational to the spiritual life, to campus ministry. And I can imagine, I know we can't speak about it, Father, but I know in confessions and everything produces such great fruit, because you have the absolution, but you also have grace to overcome the sin, to encounter Christ in that sacrament. Do you think, is that one of the most powerful aspects, you think, of your ministry?
Oh, well, when I first got ordained to the priesthood, I couldn't wait to hear confessions, because it had been such a powerful sacrament in my own life. In fact, it saved my life, But, 6 months into the priesthood, it was really the Eucharist that really brought me deeper. For every doorway of love I discovered, there was another doorway there. So it's infinite in its ability to communicate God's love. But that being said, just being able to sit down with a young adult and help them at this important period of transition in their life as they're going through the doorway of what it means to be an adult, and to help them to get to, look down the road a little bit, in terms of, okay, what do you want to accomplish with your life? Do you want to live for material goods? Do you want to compare yourself to other people, or do you want to make the world a better place? And how are you going to go about doing that? And are your Catholic values going to play a role in that? And what about your vocation? And so it's those key decisions that they make at this important juncture in their lives that, as a priest who's involved with campus ministry, I'm privileged to be a part of. So.
Doug, you had another question?
Yeah, I'm still waiting for the young lady over here to give her passion plea to the world about the importance of missionary work. And just, you were at 2 weeks in Honduras, and you've done all this work at the campus. I mean, obviously the different areas of the battlefield where you're fighting for souls, but what would you say to the world out there? To look at that camera and tell those people out there why this drives you inside your heart.
Oh man, well what I experienced in Honduras, like that intense joy that I was able to bring back with me, my spiritual director told me that in order to ever go out and be a missionary in a different country again, I first needed to be a missionary on my campus. And so that really made me think, and I was able to apply it. I was able to go up to new people who I saw were hurting, like in their heart, in their eyes, like I could see it. And that's why I think that mission work on campus is so important, because we're able to reach out to them. We're given the tools to do that. We're taught how to go and talk to people who are hurting, who have never met Jesus, and we're able to show them through our own experiences how Jesus has met us, how he loves us. And
that matches what we said at the beginning of this show, quoting Pope Francis: new forms of poverty, discouragement, or addictions, or depression, whatever, people feeling lost. And there's certainly so much of that on college campuses with young people and their struggles. But you all also do a lot of fun stuff. I mean, Father listed so many events. You do formal ballroom dances.
Right, we do. During Bison Catholic Week, we kind of wrapped it up with a formal ball, which was really great. It was really great to like to dress up and then get to dance.
Could you show us some of the ballroom moves right now?
Probably not. Maybe after the show. But we have dances about once a month. We've gotten pretty good. Actually, around campus, everybody knows the Newman Center has really great dancers. That's how we draw people in. We're really great swing dancers. Even Jeremy.
Oh,
He's
really?
gotten pretty good. Father has yet to show us his moves, but we'll work on that. But no, it's great, and like everybody comes to those dances.
And you have a lot of speakers. You were telling me about Father Spitzer coming.
Yeah, we're privileged to host him. We try to have during fall semester, we try to have one on-campus event and do it really well. So last semester we had The Exorcist. We had an exorcist from Indiana come, Father Lampert, around Halloween time. The place was packed, you know. Yeah. Before that we had Father Spitzer, new proofs for the existence of God from contemporary physics. And in a lot of different ways that really solidified our Catholic faith with the intellectual side of the campus, because they realized that you know, what we've got is reasonable, it's substantive. So then during the semester break, we do the large-scale conference event. Then we do the Bison Catholic Week, week 3, second semester, to storm the campus with everything Catholic, keynotes, Mass of the Bishop, you know, games nights.
Consecration of the campus to Our Lady?
Yeah,
right?
in the fall we do a Eucharistic procession onto the campus on Our Lady of the Rosary, and we consecrate the campus to Our Lady. And she has been
I can't even imagine that at a state university.
Yeah, we take the Eucharist and process it. We used to do it on Our Lady of Guadalupe, but it's so cold in North Dakota. I remember even Bishop Aquila was he was so good. He came, but it was too cold and too dark, so we chose October 7th now to consecrate the campus.
Now, Father, the picture we just saw on the screen there of the procession outside, it looked like in the car off to the side there, was that the ACLU right there in that white car? Was that the ACLU taking pictures, getting ready to sue y'all? I mean,
well, we still have basic freedoms in this country, so and in a lot of different ways, we're on the offensive. We're out to assert the truths of the faith in love, and to try to help people realize that the Catholic faith is reasonable, it's logical, and it's also a saving grace, you know. So.
And one of the big themes I hear from you all is accountability and a lot of personal contact, not just imparting information, but person to person. Can you talk about that, Jeremy, the accountability aspect of your ministry?
Yeah, I know, especially in the context of focused discipleship, it's really about forming those authentic Catholic relationships. So all of my guys in my Bible study and discipleship, I form that relationship before I even ask them into discipleship. So I get to know them, you know, on a personal level, and then inside the context of discipleship, I just want to make sure they're actually living a virtuous life, they're growing in their prayer life. So that's where the accountability comes in, and that they're growing, pursuing their vocation, pursuing holiness, and obviously the sacraments as well.
And just to ask somebody if they're praying, right? And, and that's so important that we can encourage one another. They can see maybe some of the strengths we have, we could be ministered to by them and the strengths they have. And I think that just seems to be at the heart of what you all are talking about so much. Well, that's great. Well, thank you so much for joining us tonight, and we'll keep you in prayer, and keep up the great work.
God bless you,
yeah.
Father. You too.
You're right.
Yeah.
Thanks
So,
for having
Jeremy,
us.
you're heading to the seminary probably, right?
Yes,
And,
next fall in Winona, Immaculate Heart of Mary. So.
Okay. All right, that's
Good
great.
job, man.
Yeah.
Well, the Lord be with you.
And with your spirit.
May our Heavenly Father shine His face upon you. May He give you His peace. And may Almighty God bless you, the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit. We'll see you next week.